There's a new virus in town, and it's more dangerous than the coronavirus or the Wuhan virus. And this virus is called taking the knee. I just saw the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, also the Cuck Prime Minister, as he's called. I think they should officially rename Canada into Cuckland, because that's what that place has become under this Trudeau guy. Prime Minister of a country is taking a knee to show solidarity with protesters who were looting, burning. 1 week ago, nobody even cared who George Floyd was, what he did, what his problems was. Now everyone is crying as if George Floyd was their father or brother or son. It's amazing how these people just shift the goalposts. And the most bizarre thing, I don't see anybody, any of those protesters, taking their own money and helping out George Floyd's family. They're not doing that. They're looting iPhones and iMacs and Gucci bags, PlayStations. That's what they're looting. They're looting everywhere. They're hitting people. They're demanding cops just be defunded, get rid of the cops so that they can go on looting and hurting people and they're not held accountable for their actions. And this demands just keep growing. And there was another video where this girl was kneeling down, apologizing for her white privilege. If taking the knee is the virus, then the disease is apologizing for your white privilege, whatever that is. All the media, celebrities, politicians, they're telling you, oh, they're right. These protests are right. They have a point. What is their point? Get rid of the cops. There should be nobody should be held accountable for their actions, and that they should be treated specially. Why? Rules should be applied to everyone equally. These protesters are protesting that black people are not treated equally by the police. But then the solution, according to these protesters, is to defund the police. Get rid of all police. There should be no cops on the street to check crime, and that they will self-regulate by, you guessed it, going into shops, looting them. There were many videos where you could see protesters were getting robbed themselves. They went into a store, thing came out, and somebody else took it from them. So that is the mob justice that they want, where the most violent in a society will be in control. They will decide what is right, what is humane, and you have to agree with that or you are a racist. That was the most funny part of the whole equation, that if you didn't agree with them, you were a racist. But I said it was the most funny part. They're actually fighting you if you're not agreeing to their point of view. Let's face it, what it is. It is basically a political tool to get Trump out of office. They don't like Trump, and I'm no Trump supporter or Trump hater. Trump is just another president. He's the president right now. There'll be a time when he'll go, but these people seem to think that he will never go, and they hate that. So their insecurities are driving these fears, pushing these crazy propagandas, where you have basically Black Lives Matter, which is a Marxist tool, an offshoot of Black Panthers, who were put down in 70s and 80s by the government after a lot of hardship. And Black Lives Matter is an offshoot, or simply Black Panthers renamed. And what is Black Lives Matter? Should everybody's life matter? Or is it only black people whose lives matter? If you simply ask this question, you are called a racist. Another aspect of the whole Black Lives Matter is asking people to apologize for their race, which is again the biggest racist thing that you could do. People to get down on your knees and apologizing. It's like they're shooting a porno film. You see those interracial porn, where they get all these girls to, serve the black master, all that fetish and all that nonsense. I mean, you could ignore all that stuff over there, but they want it to happen right on the streets. That is what Black Lives Matter is all about. Things got even worse when you had politicians and police officers nudged to take a knee with these protesters, that you get down on your knees, show solidarity with the protesters. Protesters who are calling you racist if you don't agree with them, they're hitting you, they're looting stores, they're burning stuff, hitting cops. They're basically thugs and criminals. And if you don't agree with them, you're racist. It's gotten to a point where the president of United States had to call George Floyd a great man. That's political compulsions for Trump. He can't come out and say, hey, wait a minute, we don't know the facts. The guy has a criminal record. We don't know what happened there. Trump has to come out and say, oh, he was a fine man. No politician is coming out there and saying it, that, hey, wait a minute, settle down, let the courts have their say, see what happened, what actually transpired. Nobody's saying that. And the cops are encouraged to take a knee. That is completely insane. I saw the Houston police chief telling his president to shut up, the NYPD chief kneeling down. When I see these clowns and I hear the crazy demands of protesters of just defunding the police, I completely agree with them. Like, defund all cops who took the knee. They should be defunded. They should be thrown out. They're not worth it. They're not worth being in the positions that they are in. Anyway, let's talk about this virus of taking the knee. Historically, people knelt down before the kings. However, in the current times, the taking the knee is seen as a protest symbol. It started, according to Wikipedia, in August 2016 when some American athletes protested against police brutality and racism by kneeling on one knee during the US national anthem. It says it was Colin Kaepernick, a useless NFL player who knelt during the anthem, and he did so basically to signify the racial inequality that exists. It says that him and his teammate Eric Reed said they chose to kneel during the anthem to call attention to the issues of racial inequality and police brutality. Now, I don't know, like police brutality, that's kind of a subjective field. You can't really judge the whole police department with one case. In case of George Floyd, the problem is we don't really know the whole facts, what led up to the situation for the cops to have him pinned on the ground, have a knee on his head. Maybe he's corona positive, he said something. We don't know. They were trying so that he didn't spit on them or anything. There's excessive force used, then sure, they'd be punished for it. But to jump to conclusions and paint the whole police as something evil, racist, and oppress just black people is nonsense, complete nonsense. And this whole talk of racial inequality is another mind-boggling. Just recently there was this report I read of this useless NFL player, some Roquan Smith, whatever he's called, who were attending a board party to hang out with some porn star, Abella Danger, like some white girl. So this black guy, Roquan Smith, is out there partying with porn stars in coronavirus. If you look at the list of famous athletes who dating these porn stars, you had this Marcus Jordan dating some girl, porn actress, and like all of them did. Rashad Butler, Justine Brent with Lisa, and remember that picture? All these guys, they're dating porn stars, white porn stars. They're dating girls who are white, basically not even marrying them or anything, just using them as a piece of meat that those girls want to be used as, to be honest. But anyways, these guys they have the best of everything. They have the money, they have the fame, they're sleeping with girls, whoever they choose, basically they have the money to do that. Yet they come around talk about racial inequality because some cop stopped them on the signal for speeding. I mean, what do they want? The whole taking the knee thing is nothing but a protest against people being held accountable for their actions. People don't want to be held accountable for their actions. That's what we've learned with the millennials, at least, or even the boomers. People just don't want to be held accountable for their actions. They just want to do them. They want to have a good time or whatever they feel like doing, and then not be held accountable for the consequences. And that is why they hate the police, because police is meant to catch hold of people and produce them in courts where they're held accountable for their actions. Now, people don't want to be held accountable for their actions, so they hate the police. And these guys want to go around, act like thugs, drug dealers, gangsters, whatever, and they don't want to be held accountable. The worst part is this: it has engulfed the society like fire. Like, everybody's doing it, and if you're not doing it, you're like automatically labeled as the KKK. You should be physically assaulted, publicly humiliated. It's gone so bad. I've seen little girls on Instagram and on the internet making videos crying where they're like, oh, my family doesn't support Black Lives Matter. New York Times are telling people that, hey, don't get in touch with your relatives unless they make a significant financial contribution to Black Lives Matter. If you look at those videos of taking the knee, where a guy asked that girl to take a knee, I don't know if it was for parody or whatever, he just asked her to take a knee because she's white and apologize for her white privilege, and she doesn't. It's so cringy. I can't believe the level of stupidity, the horror, the dumbness of people to think like that. And there's another video where people are kneeling down, apologizing to black people for forgiveness for being white. If you have to apologize for your skin color, how is that better than any form of racism ever or slavery? The biggest irony over here is that all these protesters and Black Lives Matter activists, they want all of us to kneel. They want all of us to take a knee. But they don't quite literally want the policemen to do that. But they want all of us to take a knee to show solidarity with the victim on whom a guy placed a knee. This is actually becoming like a puzzle. Whether you want all of us to take the knee or don't want us to take the knee, only some of us take the knee, the police don't take the knee, what is it? Let's not forget, they're even breaking down statues now, all that Marxist propaganda that they teach in the name of history, all the fake statistics they come up with, where the degree of measure is not the same, and they use those statistics to prove a point as if they have the science and maths behind their whole illogical notions. All that propaganda has led the generation of millennials, at least, to go complete nuts. Now they're breaking down statues as if they're taking down statues of Saddam Hussein in Iraq. These idiots, that's what I'll call them. They want to go back into history some 400 years, 500 years. But why just go back in history for 400, 500 years? Why don't we go back in history in 4,000 or 5,000 years? Where is this victim mentality going to end? It is not possible to not have a social hierarchy or power structures. Even in the animal kingdom, they have power structures. But to start putting blame on people that, wait a minute, we have not progressed because you people did this 400 years ago or this happened 200 years ago, just does not make sense. You can't go forward that way. You will always be finding something that happened in the past to blame it on someone and then start fighting with them. And what is the solution for it? So is this the solution? Get down on your knees, say sorry to us, then what? I already see a lot of girls out feeling so sorry for their white privilege. They're just sleeping around with every other guy who's making them feel guilty about them being white. The society is being forced right now to choose. Normal people don't want all this bullshit around them. They just want to get along with their lives. They want to get along with people. Nobody wants to hurt no black person because he's black. But if you're going to live a certain way, which is not compatible with the rules and regulations, the laws, and how the other people in the society are living, then you're bound to attract attention of cops. Most of the people who end up as victims of police are usually people, they don't have much money, they're not on the street. So it becomes essentially a class issue rather than a race issue. If you see that video of some retired basketball player who beat up this guy who was trying to smash his car's window, and the guy came out with a follow-up video saying that he has no problem with any race, but that person was trying to damage his property. That is why he kicked his ass. That is what normal people do. They don't want damage to their property. They work for it, and they don't want people coming and breaking their stuff just because something happened someplace that they had nothing to do with. You also need to ask how much these black celebrities, the people who've made it out of the ghettos, the basketball players, the Michael Jordans, all these people who've made it out, who've made a lot of money, what have they done to help their community? How much money have they given, invested in their community? I don't see them doing much except singing a song, oh, I'm going to do this concert for charity in Africa. What nonsense. You got millions of dollars, you can give some help some people. They don't do none of that. They're not even donating in their ghettos. They're not even helping people there. It is easy to blame others for your problems. You want to become violent, you want to act disrespectful, but you need to understand, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction.